Tom Brady has called me out. I guess he's called me a liar. So I'm about to call BS on Tom Brady because, Tom, you know and I know everything I said about you and Shedeur Sanders is obviously exactly right. I said on the Skip Bayless show, and I tweeted several times, that Tom Brady obviously played a role in the Raiders passing on Shedeur Sanders 7 times in the draft before finally Cleveland took him, as you know, early in the 5th round. 7 times the Raiders passed on Shedeur Sanders. Yet when Tom Brady was asked on the Jake Paul podcast why Shedeur fell so far, he stammered for a second. And then he said, that's a good question. And then Tom said, I wasn't part of any evaluation process or to see that. I guess meaning that he wasn't at all a part of the Raiders draft process, so he wasn't privy to any inside information about why Shedeur fell so far, so fast. Really interesting. So soon after Pete Carroll took over as Raiders coach, he said, we're going to build this team up around the quarterback position, and we're going to lean on Tom as much as we possibly can. Smart. Then there was this from the new Raiders general manager, John Spytek, who said, when we are looking at a quarterback, we'd be a fool not to involve Tom. Well, obviously you'd be an absolute idiot not to involve Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., the greatest quarterback ever. I mean, we're talking about the GOAT, who's now a Raiders owner. And not only that, but Tom is close friends with Mark Davis, the majority owner of the Raiders. And he's also very good friends with John Spytek because they played briefly together at Michigan, and then Spytek was an executive at Tampa who actually helped get Tom to Tampa, where he obviously, after he got kicked out the back door in New England, went straight to Tampa in the pandemic year and took a 7-9 team to a Super Bowl championship. Spytek was a part of that. And most important to this question is that Shedeur Sanders became the most debatable player by far in this draft. I've been doing this, covering the NFL for almost 50 years. I think he was the most debatable lightning rod player in the history of the National Football League draft. I said he was the best quarterback from the start before the college football season started. Mel Kiper ranked Shedeur 5th overall, 1 slot ahead of Cam Ward. And then a whole lot of people out there didn't like Shedeur. I'll get to that in just a moment. But I considered it a strength of Shedeur's that since he was in high school, it may go back before that. You'd know this better than I would, Tom. Tom Brady mentored and coached Shedeur Sanders all the way up through high school and into college and through college. Mentored and coached. Nobody out there outside of Shedeur's family knows his game and his nature, his tangibles and his intangibles better than Tom Brady. So we're to believe that nobody in the Raiders organization at any point in time before the draft said, hey, Tom, what's your opinion of Shedeur? And by the way, the Raiders did need a quarterback desperately badly before they went out and acquired Geno Smith. But my point is, at no point, neither Pete Carroll, nor John Spytek, nor Mark Davis said, hey, Tom, give us your take on Shedeur. Stop it, Tom. Quit lying to us, Tom. Quit dodging the truth, Tom. I'm just going to say it. I'm calling bullshit on you because that's utter bullshit. The Raiders would be fools if they didn't ask you your opinion of Shedeur. And obviously, as I'm about to detail, you said no to Shedeur because they did pass him 7 straight times with 3 picks in the 3rd round and 2 in the 4th round. They just passed and passed and passed. I don't know exactly what you didn't like about Shedeur, but you obviously vetoed Shedeur. I don't know if you don't like his intangibles, the way a lot of people around the NFL thought he was just too brash and too arrogant and too spoiled and privileged and entitled and blah, 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 blah. I've heard it all. I'm still hearing it all. I'm getting it from all sides. I know it all, Tom, and I'm about to spit it all out. You've heard it all, Tom. Maybe it was the intangibles that turned you away, or maybe you watched him evolve as a quarterback and you just said, no, he just can't play in this league. A lot of people thought you couldn't play in this league, you 6th round draft pick that you were. So maybe you did to Shedeur what they did unto you, Tom. But you obviously said no. And I get it that Pete Carroll said, going on 74 years of age, maybe this is his last gig. I don't know. Maybe he thinks it's his last gig. And he said, I need a quarterback. I need a quarterback who's proven to me that he can handle it. Somebody I trust under fire. And he became a Geno believer in Seattle. So you went out for a 3rd round pick and you got Geno Smith, and you gave him a couple of more years at around, what can he make, around $40 million a year? Pretty good money. And Geno's pretty good. I don't think his ceiling is nearly as high as Shedeur's, but that's just me. But you banked on Geno for a couple of years more. What is he, 34? And yet, I'm looking at your situation even after you acquired Geno, and I'm thinking, man, Shedeur would make the perfect understudy with Tom Brady still mentoring and coaching for a couple of years. Perfect, beautiful. Like maybe 3 years, like Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. And look, I certainly understood the Raiders with their 6th overall pick saying, hey, Ashton Genty is just too rare of a specimen, just too rarely gifted a running back to pass up at 6th overall. You need that piece to the puzzle, and that's a big, bad piece to the puzzle. I'm good with it. I get it. But then here it went, and Shedeur began to fall for many various, mostly to me, despicable reasons. And so we're to believe, Tom Brady, that not once did you communicate as Shedeur fell. Not once did you say to Spytech, to Mark Davis, to Pete, to anybody, hey, let's take him now. So look what your team did, Tom. Look what happened. You have 3 third-round picks. In the 2nd round, you go wide receiver. And then 3rd round, you go cornerback, offensive lineman. Okay. 4th round, you go wide receiver. And now you have a 2nd pick in the 4th round, Tom. You have pick number 135. It's 9 slots before Shedeur is finally going to go to Cleveland because Jimmy Haslam finally said, that's enough. I'm taking him. Maybe just to make a little splash. I don't think anybody else in Cleveland wanted him because 50 slots higher, they'd obviously already taken my guy from Oklahoma, Dylan Gabriel. That's who they wanted to groom as a rookie quarterback. And the owner, who wanted Johnny Manziel, who plunged, obviously, for Deshaun Watson, he just said, we can get Shedeur Sanders. He'd had dinner with Deion and Shedeur. I'm sure he liked him. He might be the only right one out there, the only right-thinking brain out there. But you've got a 2nd, 4th round pick and you don't just snap up Shedeur Sanders, your guy that you had helped grow? You're kidding. Instead, you take Tonka Hemingway. You take a defensive tackle out of South Carolina. I know they were, that front seven was hellacious good. They destroyed my team in Nashville this year. And I just said, we can't. We're suffocated. We can't even move the ball. Maybe he'll be great. But he ain't a quarterback, and he ain't that quarterback. And you're telling me that not once did you say, hold the phone, man. What are we doing? Not once. 7 times you passed. You obviously just didn't believe in this kid, and you should own that. You should just acknowledge it. It's okay. There's no problem with it. That's the way I do business. Just own it. I mean, I own the fact that from the start I said, these are the things I love about Shedeur Sanders. He's deadly accurate, led the nation in passing percentage last year, completion percentage. He's as tough as any quarterback, college quarterback I've ever watched. I've been watching college football for a long, long time. He took hellacious beatings both years. I know he held the ball too long. I get it. He was trying to, with all of his heart and all his soul, win football games for his pops with a team that was under-talented in way too many spots, often in the offensive line. That can be cured. But the toughness can't be taught. You know that. The clutchness, God, it can't be taught. You're the clutchest ever, you know. Did you watch the tape? Did you watch him play? Maybe you were busy prepping for your NFL games. I don't know. I saw leadership. I saw sideline leadership. I saw teams feed off him at Colorado both years and at Jackson State. People blast me. I've even had friends call, what's he ever won? Okay. Well, they got to the championship game at Jackson State, turned that program around. They just didn't have enough in Boulder yet. He'll build it. He's going to win a national championship there. But his father, to me, was a strength, not a weakness. I know the NFL condemned this whole situation because of the father, and the father's going to be too involved. I've heard it all. I have been bombarded, Tom, over the last 2 weeks from all sides. I'm getting it from inside and outside, from people I know, people I've known for years. I've heard it all. Too entitled. He is Shedeur. He's spoiled. He's pampered. He flaunts his jewelry. The exotic cars that he drove in Boulder, he's making, $3 million a year. Highest paid college athlete ever. They were the biggest draw in the history of college football. That's what they were. You want to talk about a TV draw from coast to coast? My God. The world woke up on Saturday to see what Dion and Shedeur were going to do in Travis, obviously. All I heard was, no, he's just as interested in his rap career. What was his song, Perfect Timing, and that he's doing this, trying to promote his rap song. Got a little traction in Colorado for a while. Promote his clothing line, that he's more interested in his clothing line. I heard it all than his football. I heard all the stories. I hate to even tell them, but I'm just going to hint at them because you've heard them all, Tom. I know you heard them all from the inside. You're privy to all this. There's a story about the Giants involving you, and it could be completely apocryphal, but here's the point. This is the story that got circulated around the NFL. This is another one of those inside stories that got passed around that doomed Shedeur to the 5th round. It was something about during the interview, they had a couple, but during one of the interviews, somebody with the Giants, I don't know if it was executive or coach, asked Shedeur about you, Shedeur's relationship with you, the mentoring, teaching, coaching, and somebody asked some question about, is Tom your role model? Do you try to model your life after Tom's? And Shedeur said something like, well, I don't want to model myself after his wife left him for a trainer. And I don't even know if he said that, but I've heard it again and again from too many people. And I don't know if he was trying to be cool and tell a joke or make people laugh, or I don't know what it was, but I heard that doomed him with the Giants. Okay, fine. He's still just a kid. Maybe he was trying to act cool. And then there was what he did say publicly about don't take me unless you want your culture changed. And I heard that several people up high in Pittsburgh, including Mike Tomlin, were like, okay, we're out on him now because we don't need our culture changed. We are a culture. We've had a culture from the start. We are the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I don't even know if that's true, but that's the kind of story that picked up steam and grew longer and longer legs, and those legs just stamped all over Deion and Shedeur. It just made me sick because I think he's a good kid, and I think he's a good kid. And I know he's a hard worker. There's some video out there, I think it was distributed by the Sanders family, to promote Colorado football. It was Cam Ward. In the video, Shedeur asked Cam, hey, when we get finished working out, you want to go record rap songs? And Cam's like, what? All I care about is being a great quarterback. Okay, so NFL people are like, see, that's why you don't. I've read so many NFL I read Jarrett Bell's column today in USA Today about how 3 anonymous executives are saying, one had a first-round grade on Shedeur, the other 2 had a second-round grade. Well, he fell to the 5th round. So they're pretty much admitting, well, it went beyond football. It was personal. Yeah, it was personal. It's about all this stuff. So in the end, it wasn't like Brady actually called me out, because he didn't call me out by name on the Jake Paul podcast. He just said that was wrong. And by translation, of course, I'm wrong. But Tom did it with the big, broad brush. He condemned the media, took the cowardly way out. Just take me on, Tom. I don't care. I can take it because I'm right. Tom said on the Jake Paul podcast, that's the problem with media, is everyone can just say whatever the fuck they want. See, if you say the F word, then it's like you really mean it. You're really passionate about it. You can say whatever the fuck you want and get away with it, said Tom to Jake Paul. And he concluded, it used to be a lot of integrity in the media. Well, I've been in the media for that was my first year out of Vanderbilt. I started at the Miami Herald in 1974, so it's been a while. I'd like to say I've had a lot of integrity. I'd like to say that I work really hard at telling the truth and backing it up. That's what I do and what I've done for these however many years it's been. I did have Deion on my show. I do know Deion. I do keep in touch with people in that circle. And I'm just telling you that the league decided to teach Deion and in turn Shedeur a lesson. And it all started when Deion was on the Dan Patrick radio show, the radio TV show, obviously from Radio Row in New Orleans before the Super Bowl. And he made the statements about he might go Archie Manning on the top of the draft, navigate his son, orchestrate, tell some teams that, no, we're not interested in playing for you. We're going to go here. Just the way Archie Manning did for Eli, obviously, as he navigated Eli from San Diego to the Giants. And I kept hearing, just too brash, just too arrogant. Both, Father, it's like chip off the old block, that this is Neon Dion all over again. I'm telling you, this kid can play. I've been doing this for a long time. He can play. But now, Tom, of course, you're part of the NFL power structure. You're an owner as well as a broadcaster, and I worked at Fox for 8 years, and I didn't appreciate the fact that you bullied them, you bigfooted them. They'd given you what was it, $375 million for 10 years, and then all of a sudden you yank the magic carpet out from under them and say, well, I also want to be an owner, which means you'll be handicapped as a broadcaster because your access will be limited to teams because you're an owner. Okay, so you did that, and yet the last thing you said that I read was about the negative media. You said, actually, it probably hurts a lot of relationships, which is not the goal of broadcasting. So wait a second. Hurts a lot of relationships. I don't really understand that one. What? So are you asking me and all those other negative media voices to protect you so that you can stay close to Shedeur and to Dion? Obviously, you can kind of fake it with them and give them that phony smile and act like everything's hunky-dory when you did veto Shedeur to your team 7 times they passed. And you can then say to Shedeur, I have no idea what happened. I don't get it, but hey, man, you got to stay the course. You got to do just what I did. You got to go to work. You got to get in the film room. You got to show them that they're wrong. This will be great for you. You can say all that to Shedeur and be that smiling assassin that you were. And by the way, I've said this from the start. There are always 2 Tom Bradys. Did I ever love the football killer Tom Brady? I called him Psycho Tom. He was the GOAT, clutchest ever. I've said it from the start. Tom, you were 80% of the reason that the Patriots were a dynasty. I'll give Belichick, 10% of it. But you were it, and boy, did Psycho Tom ever come out publicly one time at the end of that Brady roast on Netflix when you roasted Belichick. I mean, you emasculated him, brought down the house and the curtain right on Belichick's head that night. Loved it. Wish we could get a little of that from Tom, the NFL broadcaster, but we can't because there's that alter ego. It's aw shucks, gee whiz, nice guy Tom, wants everybody to love him. It's the broadcaster who just nice guys us all to death with your cliches and your platitudes and sidestepping the truth, trying to sort of paint everything perfectly. It's all going to be okay. I just wish you'd just tell the truth. Just let it fly. I know there's so much more inside you, Tom, that you could tell that you don't. But all I know for sure right now is this is what I hope for Shedeur. I remain a big fan, even though I'm taking a beating about this from people I know, people who say I'm wrong. Like everybody had at least a 2nd round grade. Why did he fall to the 5th? I'm just hoping that now Shedeur Sanders will make Tom Brady look almost as stupid as Tom Brady made the entire NFL look. That's what I'm hoping will happen. And by the way, Tom, I'm happy for you to join me on any of my shows. I'll join you on whatever platform you're on. I would be happy for you to come at me and attempt to refute every last word that I just spoke about you. You'd be more than welcome. You can have as much time as you want. I don't care. I will respond. but you won't, because you can't, because you know that every word I just spoke was obviously the truth.